Now you know that we are recording today's presentation, and I will plan to send a link out to everybody by the beginning of next week for the recording of today's webinar. We also are going to have time for your questions. So at any point in time, if you have a question comes to mind, jot it down and put it in the Zoom Q&A box. And at the end of the presentation, we'll plan to review and answer those. So Dave, without any further delay, would you like to go ahead and get us started?
I would be delighted to get us started. Thank you, Karen, and good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. This is all it's almost informed delivery promotion time. It's getting to be like it's like the holidays here. We love the informed delivery promotion, and it is one of the more fun ones. One of the easier ones to participate in, and it's got a very generous discount associated with it, and so people like it. So that said, what I want to do today is just kind of go through some of the basics of informed delivery, some of the ground rules of the promotion, what you have to do to participate in it. Far more than just being our host, Karen will also be participating and going through some of the postal stuff that I'm underqualified to do about participating, signing up and how to enroll in it, because there's a little bit of complexity to it. As is my tradition, of course, let me run quickly through SnailWorks and what we do. Our primary business is mail tracking. We do an awful lot of that, tracking billions of pieces a year. Informed delivery, which is what we're focusing on today. We help many of our clients create their informed delivery campaigns and provide the back end data on the post-campaign data on what the results were. We do digital marketing support, and this is primarily working with people using personalized QR codes, pearls, and basically linking direct mail to the internet. And finally, political mail tracking, and which is a little bit of a different beast, and there's going to be a lot of political mail to track this year, and so we've worked with that. We do ballot tracking as part of that, so an interesting side of business, one that I like because I feel like it's we really do participate in democracy a little. That's kind of fun. So anyway, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I guess, I don't know, there's an elephant in the room, but we all know that postage just went up about 7.8%, depending on where you are on the spectrum of how much yours went up. That went up on July 14th. And, but next week you can get 4% back on August 1st. It's when the informed delivery promotion starts. And so for you, if you have an informed delivery campaign associated with it, your rate increase will only be 3.8%. So that's pretty important. And mail processors, they did this last year, and we're doing it again this year, which is really the EDOC submitter, will get 0.5% of the postage. And when you think about it, if you're a mail service provider and you're doing several million pieces of mail a month for your clients, which isn't that big a volume in the mail service provider world, if you can really get everybody participating in this, then there's a nice little revenue opportunity for you in that. This lasts through the fall mailing season. It runs till December 31st. And all you need to do is have an informed delivery campaign and follow the rules. It's not quite as simple as having an informed delivery campaign. There are some things to apply for and to get approved. Of course, it's the Postal Service. We got to have a little fun with it. So come on, you want to do this. It's certainly well worth it. And we see it. We noticed last year a tremendous increase in the number of informed delivery campaigns that we were processing, and also just looking at our own digests at home, going, "Holy cow! Look at all these ads." So it's definitely something that's catching on. If you don't have an ad, I think it's even with the popularity, you kind of get shuffled to the bottom of the pile. Let's talk just a little bit about what this is worth. What's 4%? I always hear 4% and 0.5% and all that. What's that worth in money? And I will be honest that this slide, I did it 2 rate increases ago. So add 10% to these numbers, and they're approximations anyway. But you can see if you're doing, say, marketing letters, if you're mailing 100,000 of them, that's about $1,200 in postage you can save based on how a 100,000 piece mailing would typically be prepared. And again, you're going to get a copy of this. So all these ranges are in here. Of course, you really need to do your own, see what the postage is on your own projects that you're doing to find out what 4% of that is and what the discount will be. And we're breaking it down just by the 1,000 here. per thousand, I guess you should say. And you can see some of it's a significant amount of money. It's on marketing letters, it's $12 a thousand. I mean, if you can get an extra $12 a thousand, if you're a mail service provider and can get $12 a thousand is a big deal. So the numbers can get pretty big on that too. So something well worth keeping an eye on. It is 4% is worth money, and even the 0.5%, not as exciting as 4%. According to my calculations, it's 1/8 of 4%. But that's still, if you're mailing large quantities, if you're doing millions of pieces over a period of months, it can add up to some substantial postage and savings. So what is informed delivery? And informed delivery, again, I think most of you probably know this now. It is designed to be a consumer-facing service by the USPS. It's the Postal Service's program, which is, and again, the sorting equipment always took pictures of pieces as they went through for years and years. And finally, back in 2017, someone said, hey, we could take those pictures and share them with the public and let them know what's going to be in their mailbox that day. Of course, it only takes black and white pictures, but it's captured automatically by barcode sorting equipment. But flat size mail is different because they don't take pictures of flats. And I don't even want to get into flats right now. All kinds of issues with flats these days. But that notwithstanding, because of flats, really, they said, well, you know what? We'll let mailers add and replace image or add an image when they see a flat. And they said, well, what the heck? They can do it on letters too. So now you can add and replace images and put ads to associate with your informed delivery campaign. And the Postal Service loves it. It's popular. The people love it too. And this is an important point. I change this slide every time I do a presentation because right now there are more than 65 million subscribers to informed delivery. That's about 1 in 3 households subscribe. So stop and think about that for a second. That's a 33%. So imagine this is so if you're mailing to wherever you may be mailing, if you can think, you know what? We can send an email to 33% of those people for free. That's it's just an amazing offer. So I think when the numbers have grown. The first couple of years, the numbers were small, but now 1 in 3 households, it's significant. There are thousands of mailers enrolled, and gosh, probably more than this now. There's at least 10,000 active campaigns going on at any time. So it's a widely used system. Mailers like it. The public likes it. And here's some of the benefits. Again, there's a lot more to it than postage. There is a postage discount, and that's why y'all are here today. But nonetheless, there are, as I said, 65 million subscribers, about 33% of eligible households, and that is growing. That's consistent. That number is consistently growing. So it really is an important opportunity to reach a lot of the people on your list. And in fact, people, the best prospects are more likely to be informed delivery subscribers because they tend to be more engaged with their mail. It includes a direct link to a web landing page. So you have a direct link to people can get to your website easily right from their piece of mail, essentially, or actually before they get their piece of mail. It's a trusted link, which is not always the most common thing in email these days. But to this date, at least, most people, I think, feel pretty comfortable clicking on a ride-along ad and an ad in the Postal Service Digest because it's the Postal Service and they have high credibility. The ride-along can generate ad revenue in some cases too. I see some of the coupon packs that are mailing now. If you look at the ride-along ad they have in there, it'll be for one of the coupons that is in their pack, and they sold that to the coupon buyer as for extra clicks, extra touches. And so there are some interesting ways to get extra revenue on there. The data is great. You get subscribers, email-enabled subscribers. I think you get. Are we getting reminder clickers yet, Karen? Do they have?
We are not getting the reminders. Well, they're baked in. Reminder clicks are baked in with the count. You cannot determine which are reminder clicks versus original clicks.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, we're getting. There's Debbie Downer there. Oh no, that's why I have Karen here to keep me real. But there is a lot of data that comes, a lot of valuable data that you can get. And again, there's no extra charge for it. The Postal Service just provides it. So let's go ahead and talk about the elements of an informed delivery campaign and some of the rules that surround those elements in order to participate and qualify for the promotion. So the three primary elements are the representative image, and this is the image that will replace the black and white image that shows up normally in there. This is not required. If you want the black and white image to show, and a lot of people do, by the way, and there's reasons for that. Everyone's got their own strategies. But you don't have to do a representative image. That's optional on letters, at least. On flats, it is required. Because as I said, there is no image for flats, so they got to have something. A ride-along ad. Whoops, I'm sorry. I clicked on that. See, you're so tempted to click on ride-along ads. I couldn't resist doing it on my PowerPoint. Anyway, the ride-along ad is required, and that is the linked ad that goes underneath the image, either the representative image or the picture of the envelope, the black and white picture. So you need that, and that is required. You have to have a link to the web. That's one of the things about this. It's important to know. And finally, you need to have a target URL where, when someone clicks on that ride along, where they're going to go. So those are the things you have to provide. Obviously, you have to tell the Postal Service where that's going. So let's kind of go through each of these and some of the rules that apply to each of these in order to make sure you qualify for the promotion. And because each campaign you do will need to get approved. I'll kind of go into a little more detail on that later, but there is an approval process, and these are kind of some of the things they're looking for. Essentially, it's a representative image, and it really has to, it's a good name, it has to represent the mail piece. It's really kind of the Postal Service's goal is to make sure it clearly associates with the mail piece, so people just don't think it's an email ad, or that it really is associated with the mail piece that's there. Usually an outside panel of the mail piece is the best thing to do in our experience, but you can use the front or you can use the back. So if you think about a self-mailer that you may have, a self-mailer postcard where you have that great picture on the back that no one looks at because they're looking at the address side. This is one way to get them to see the other image there too. And just as an aside, remember that people usually are looking at the address side of your mail pieces more than anything else. So if you got a good offer, put it where they can see it there. So again, you can use the back panel. The address block can be replaced with a message or image. In other words, where their address block would be in that image, you can just say, click below to get to take advantages, whatever it may be, but you can replace that. Images can be added that enhance the ride-along. And I'll show you that. We have some people who have an arrow pointing to the ride-along ad. So you can see that kind of thing as well. Light images must have a black border, and they must and I'll show an example of that. I think I have one in here. And then they have to orient the same way as the mail piece. In other words, lengthwise or widthwise, whatever that may be. They have to be in sort of the same proportion. So here's some examples of some acceptable images. And this one's actually, you can see this is a very light colored, this Lord & Taylor ad. This is a couple of years old, so I'm not sure Lord & Taylor's still in business, but but they had to add a border to that to make it stand out. They couldn't just have the white fade into the white. But other than that, so that made it an acceptable representative image. This is for advanced development and relief. And again, this is one where they have an arrow they added. This is what their envelope looked like, this white part. And then they added this green thing down here and then had an arrow pointing to the ride-along ad. Just to try to enhance the ride-along ad image. This one I thought was clever. They included the front and the back as sort of another picture of it, along with a message underneath. Again, these were all accepted. These were all deemed acceptable by the Postal Service. One of the things to be cognizant of is that the standards vary, shall we say. So sometimes, we really do like to have enough time to test images, to put them in and submit them for approval, just in case they don't get approved. Sometimes the Postal Service will find something that we didn't expect. Sometimes they'll accept something we didn't think they would. So just be aware of that. There are sometimes standards that vary a little bit, but the real lesson of that is give yourself enough time that if it gets rejected, you can still put it back in again and be in time for the promotion. The ride-along ad, again, it's that clickable piece that goes underneath the image of the mail piece or the representative image. it has to include a prominent call to action, at least to qualify for the promotion. So it has to say click here or learn more or something clearly that to incent people to click on that on the ride along ad. It has to be clear and compelling, I believe is the words they use. So so it's again, you just have to make it obvious that's a place to click. Has to have clear color contrast. And really that has more to do with it making the click here read. I'll show you some examples where it didn't make. That's probably the easiest way to do it. This one makes sense. You cannot encourage paperless options. And I will say I got a piece of mail today, actually. I should have saved the image for my, now someone just had their envelope there. They didn't do a campaign. And right there on the front, when I was looking at on my Informed Delivery Digest, it said, stop getting this in the mail, say, do it the modern way. So, I was going, oh, yeah. That's, that hurts to send out in the mail, by the way. But anyway, you cannot encourage a paperless option. You can't say click here to switch to online. You have to include a target URL. Again, this is really designed to take people to a website. So if you just wanted to visit your store, that's dandy, but you really have to have a call to action that takes them to a website in order to qualify for the promotion. So here's some acceptable ride-alongs. Apply now, that's pretty prominent now, and that was considered acceptable. Give now, again, and then finally our favorite, which is click here. You will never go wrong with a big bold click here. The Postal Service likes those. So these are all acceptable ride-along images that have been approved in the past. These are some that weren't. Now, this first one's a little tricky. It says click here pretty boldly, but this is where you get into the contrast. So when we first put this in, it was rejected because the Postal Service felt that the contrast wasn't adequate. Because again, you're looking at it on a phone, it gets pretty little, and that the click here kind of faded in. All we really had to do to fix this was change the click here to a bright red, and then the contrast was good. But that's something to be aware of. Get empowered is probably a great thing to do, but not really a clear call to action. So that was not Wallhaven at Kingstown apparently is not a verb. So you're not saying to do something, so therefore that was not acceptable. And last but certainly not least is let your new home pay for itself. Again, a little too vague. It should say, click here to let your new home pay for itself, and this would have been okay. But there's not really a call to action on this particular one. So just some examples of things that work and things that don't work with ride-alongs. Okay, so those are the two images you have to have. Then you have to have a URL, a web address that the people are going to go to. So you have to have a target URL. There's a few words, a few rules surrounding that. Imagine that. It is the web address for people who click on your ride-along. We suggest that you consider offer-specific and version-specific web pages. Landing pages, essentially. It helps you measure what's going on, and always with direct mail or any kind of campaign where you're driving people to a web page, you want to make sure it's real easy for them to respond to their offer anyway. That you just don't go. You just don't go to your general landing or corporate website. It's allowed, but we just think that's not the most effective thing to do. It must be a secure page. So it's got to be HTTPS, not HTTP alone. And they do check all this. We'll get into that process in a second. The prospects won't see the URL, so you can make it ugly. Remember, it's going to be hidden under that button. All they're going to see is a button to click. And you cannot require an email address to access the site. So if someone clicks on their on your ride along, you can't have enter your email here to go to get this great deal. Emails are a very touchy subject on this. Obviously, the Postal Service does not want to feed its competitors, if you will. So they're kind of sensitive about that, but you can't have it as a requirement to access the site. So to create a campaign, the process is pretty easy, but we're going to go through, we'll start at my crayon level, and eventually Karen will get serious and go into some of the real details of participating in some of these. First, you need to gather your resources. Not a whole lot to gather, really. And again, I do want to stress informed delivery is a relatively easy thing to participate in. You will need a URL to direct your prospects to, and you'll need 1 or 2 images, a representative image. And again, as I said, for letters, it's optional. But if so, and these are all just JPEGs. They're simple images. And so one is a representative image that's going to go in. And the second, which is required, is the ride-along ad. And there you go. Click here. We love that. So that's a good ride-along ad. You can see these go together nicely. So they did some nice design work on that. And then you upload that image to Snailworks, or if you're a glutton for, no, I'm kidding, but you can also do it directly to the Postal Service. Obviously, we think you're wise to send it to Snailworks and let us do the work for you, but that's a decision you can make. Either way, you have to upload this information either to Snailworks or to the Postal Service or to someone else who might handle that for you. The Postal Service will return an ad proof. They will send an image back that shows what it's supposed to look like, and or what it's going to look like in the feed. And actually, if you look these days, just as sort of a quick aside, and I didn't have time to update it for this presentation, but they really have changed the look of this digest. It really looks nice. If you haven't looked at your Informed Delivery Digest lately, and of course you have, but in case you haven't, they have sharpened up how it looks. It has more sharing links and things like that too. Anyway, they will send a proof back for approval. When you approve it, the campaign will be set to become live on the schedule that you set, and you do have to set the schedule. From there, that's really all you have to do. That's you have to create the campaign in the system, and you'll also have to associate the appropriate IMBs with it. You'll have to you have to set dates, and dates are very important. But from there, when you mail it, as pieces get delivered, the morning that they're going to be delivered, they will get your ad will appear in the Informed Delivery feed for those subscribers that you're sending to. If you want to know who the subscribers are, you can get that detailed information too. You can either get it from the portal, or you can have a feed done. If you use Snailworks, we build this automatically into what we're doing for you and into the service. We track these automatically. And this shows simply how many pieces were mailed. Of those, how many were subscribers. And this is a couple years. This is June 2020. These numbers will be much bigger now. I have to get a newer one to put up here. But it kind of shows how many emails were open, and we're enhancing this kind of reporting all the time. You can also see how many clicks you got, and also at least working with us, we can take each of the clicks that each of the subscribers you get and detail record by record who your subscribers are, if they got an email, if they opened it. Some addresses have more than one email. That usually means that there's more than one subscriber living in a household. Those are good to know. Some of them have 5 or 6, and those are pretty good places to mail to in our experience. So a lot of detailed information that's available afterwards. A couple things to keep in mind with all this process that I need to mention. This one, unfortunately, I can't change the slide yet, and I don't know if right now B2B mail does not work with ID. They're putting up there are some small attempts to do that right now by the Postal Service. It's very difficult to associate who in a company is allowed to see what mail is coming. And therefore, B2B mail does not qualify for the promotion. It is okay to run a ride-along only. Some people like running the image of the envelope or the mail piece. Some people like doing that because the mail piece is personalized, whereas the replacement image or representative image is not personalized. So some people like to do it for that. They just like the look of they like the look of their mail piece, and they'll do that. So that's certainly allowable. There are some nice features that the Postal Service has added. You can make each click unique. And if you can append the IMB or pieces of the IMB to the URL, well, a lot of initials there, but essentially you can make each click unique so that you can identify who is coming to a website and treat it like a pearl, if you would. So that option is there to uniquely identify each click. Reminders, although we're not getting data on them yet, this is still a consumer can say, oh, this looks interesting, but I don't want to buy that right now. I'm going to the grocery store Monday, so or whatever it may be. Then so you can have they can ask to have that ID ad sent to them again within a week, I believe it is, so they can see it again. So a nice way, it's a nice way for them to remember your message. A lot of sharing capabilities through Facebook, X, I believe is the right term these days, for Twitter, email, and text. So a lot of ways to share this. You also, as a mailer, can opt out of sharing. Some mailers don't want to share their offers and things like that, and I believe you can opt out of those.
That is correct, Dave. You can opt out, but the default is fully opted in.
Yeah, that's a good thing to keep in mind. So if you have like different offers, if you're sending out a lot of different offers to a lot of different people based on qualifications, you want to be careful of that, because remember, they are going to get an offer to share the offer from the Postal Service. So just do be aware of that. So let's talk specifically about the promotion. The registration opened on June 15th, and the promotion starts August 21st. That's next week, and runs through December 31. All dates, everything's got to be done after August 1st and no later than December 31st. And there's a lot of associated activities with the mailing. So, for example, you can't be drop shipping inducting after December 31st and things like that. Mail submission, drop ship, induction, all dates. Discount 4% off postage for the mailed amount, and that's a point that people will ask a lot about. Is it suggest to the subscribers that you get the discount off? No, you get the 4% off the entire mailed amount if it qualifies for the promotion. That's what the discount is based on. The discount is taken at the time of mailing. There's a couple of things you have to do, which we'll show you in a second, that you have to, and if you don't do this, if you don't request the discount at time of mailing, and we have seen people do that, then you can lose, not get the discount. And it's very difficult, if generally impossible, to go back later and get the discount if you forget to ask for it. And eDoc submitters will receive a 0.5% postal incentive. They're really getting a postage credit. They're not getting a discount. They're not getting money back per se, but they're having a 0.5% put into a designated permit. So that's how the 0.5% works for the mail service providers. Eligible mail: first class automation letters, postcards, and flats. USPS marketing mail, automation letters, and flats. It does have to be automation. Obviously, you have to have a barcode on there. Nonprofit, which is really the same as USPS. So marketing, automation, letters, and flats. USPS marketing mail and nonprofit. DDU entered carrier route saturation flats. Every word in that sentence matters. It does, and we'll show you that. But if you have saturation flats, just flats, carrier route saturation, and you induct them at the DDU, then that is eligible for it. It gets a little complicated there. If you're doing them saturation flats, well, you really want to study that. What is not eligible? Non-automation mail is not eligible. Carrier route saturation rate mailing flats that are not DDU entered. So again, if you're doing a lot of saturation flats, make sure you get a clear understanding, and we'll do our best to try to help explain it too. Let me see. And again, this saturation flats, this may matter if you're for political mailers. Political mailers like to do carrier route saturation flats. So just be aware of that. If they're not entering the DDU, they wouldn't be eligible for this discount. DDU destination delivery unit flats, unless they're saturation carrier. You can read this later. If you're not doing carrier route or saturation, it's simpler. EDDM not eligible. Detached address labels or marketing label flats not eligible. If you don't know what they are, then you don't have to worry about that. Business to business or business to institution or campus mailings. That's kind of an important one, which is, again, B2B doesn't work for informed delivery. And as far as the Postal Service is concerned, B to college or an institution is also considered the same thing and is not eligible for this. One little exception is if, for example, if you're doing a fundraising mailing that's a B2C, a business to, a consumer mailing, and some of the addresses that you have for some of your donors are their business addresses that are incidentally in there, you're allowed to do that. That is considered acceptable. It's just you can't do a pure business to business or business to institution mailing. Parcels and priority mail. They can do in some cases they can do informed delivery, but they can't participate in the promotion. And finally, last time we checked it, I'm fairly sure that periodicals are also not eligible for this. It's one of those on the paperwork, it doesn't list them as eligible or not eligible. But when I've talked to people at the Postal Service, they've said periodicals are not eligible. So the promotion process we're going to call it 6 steps. You need to, and Karen will go through some of the details on this too. You need to register for the promotion in the business customer gateway. And it's the mail shop typically that registers. In our case, or, when we're doing campaigns for our clients, we are registered in the program. SnailWorks is, and we are not. That's right. Their letter shop. It's thank you, Karen. See, thank goodness I can see Karen too. So I don't know what she was shaking her head about, but while she was doing that, I was just thinking that it's actually the mail service provider who has to register, and not SnailWorks. That's because that was just crazy. Anyway, so yeah, and typically the mail owner is not the one that's going to register either. So if it's a nonprofit that's using a mail service provider, generally the mail service provider will register. Look at this is right here for the eDoc submitter. The mail service provider will register for that separately. And again, Karen will go into some of the details on this. There is an approval process with each mailing. You create an ID campaign, an informed delivery campaign in the mailer campaign portal. You create the appropriate eDocs with the mailing. And we'll go into a little bit of detail on that in a second. And then you need to provide a sample mail piece. Really, you just have to hold a copy of a sample mail piece up for 90 days after the promotion. In other words, till April 1st, 2025. The reason for that is the Postal Service does reserve the right to, like a month after the promotion's done, to go, wait a minute, we don't like this. We have a doubt about whether your representative image was right or whatever it may be. And so they do need you to hold on to a copy of each mail piece that this is involved in. So if a question comes up, we've never had that happen with one of our clients, I don't believe, but nonetheless, it can. So you want to be careful. Creating the ID campaign in the mail creation portal. SnailWorks, again, of course, is the easy way to do this. Otherwise, you access the portal through the business customer gateway and create the campaign there. It must be finalized by 2:00 Eastern time, the day before the mailing date. As far as the approval process, what to be aware of, and this is generally we're talking about campaign approvals. The ride-along image of the state is required for all campaigns. A JPEG or PDF of the ride-along must be submitted for approval. I think a GIF or GIF, depending on how you pronounce it, is acceptable as well. And let me see, representative image is required for flats mailings and optional for letter size. If a representative image is used, a JPEG or PDF of the representative image ad must be submitted for approval. And again, I think a GIF will work for that as well. But we'll double check that. Unless you know, Karen, can you use, is a GIF an acceptable format?
I'm thinking it's not, but I'm double checking, Dave.
Okay. You're good with a PDF or a JPEG, so maybe you go with those, but we'll double check that for you. This is an important point. When you submit for approval, you can submit way early for approval, but if you have to have a live link to the website in the ride-along. The Postal Service, when they're approving it, they will test the link to make sure it works. If you don't have the page up, if you don't have it ready when it's going in for approval, it will not pass. You'll have to put it in again when the link is live. And
just a second, Dave, I will clarify, a JPEG is the format that they want both the ride along and the representative image.
okay. And you must have you have to provide the contact info of the person who's holding that mail sample, so they can hunt down that sample if they want to do something later. To continue on that, you should apply for approval at least 1 week before the mailing. And we've been finding this varies a lot. The response is typically provided within 4 business days, to quote the Postal Service. In doing this for the last few years, sometimes we get approvals very, very quickly, within less than an hour. Sometimes it takes longer than that. When we started, we are submitting campaigns already for some of our clients, getting ready for August 1st. And the first ones went through very quickly. Then they got held up. They've been taking a while now. We think it may actually be related to the CrowdStrike event, because the Postal Service did have some problems with it. We were hoping that's it. But allow plenty of time, because you have to give them time to get it approved. And if it's not approved before your campaign goes out, you're just out of luck. Again, you use the Informed Delivery Promotion portal to get them approved. There's a portal for getting these approved. You used to be able to email this to them, no longer available. Enforcement, I say stringent, and it is. I mean, I would allow for the Postal Service to be very to be strict, although we do find that that they vary on how strict they are on some things. So well worth allowing time for, if it doesn't get approved, if you need to tweak some things, that you have time to do that. Again, just allow plenty of time for approvals. They can take a while. Some things about the landing page link specifically. The Postal Service, again, will test the link as part of the approval process. The landing page, as we said before, cannot require an email to move on. There's very limited cases where you can use an email, and it's just worth mentioning, which is, because some people said there's an application you have to fill out to get a loan or something like that. An email may be a required field. Generally speaking, the Postal Service will let that go, but it's really, again, something you want to get approved ahead of time. They can be very picky about emails. Their point is they do not want this to be an email gathering campaign. You cannot have a pop-up asking for an email address when they get to the page. Any pop-up you do have, because they don't want your page to be annoying, must have a clear X to close it. So you can have pop-ups, although they can't ask for your email address. But if so, it's got to be, I know I personally get frustrated when I can't find the X to click to get rid of a pop-up. And the Postal Service doesn't want you to be frustrated. And again, this really can't be an email gathering campaign. Something that Karen likes to tell me is it's never too early for approval. You can get things approved right now. Well, not now, we're busy on the webinar, but after that, we'll be able to take care of that for you. Let me see. If you have an ad design and a campaign title, you could submit art URL and campaign title to get it approved way ahead of time. Again, if you have that, you have to have that web page up and ready, but you can get it, so we have some people who get multiple campaigns approved ahead of time, just so it's ready to go. Again, the web page must be live, but some of the details of the campaign need to be in by 2 o'clock the day before mailing. So you can get the campaign in early, and you can wait to get the details a little bit later, like the IMB ranges and things like that. But all of it has to be ready to go into the day before mailing. And you can continue to manipulate the list up until then, and including changing, working with the ranges and things like that on the IMBs. The e-docs that are submitted, again, mailings must be submitted electronically, and I think they all must be anyway. And here's the secret code. The component characteristic record must be populated with PI for 2024 Informed Delivery Promotion. That's actually what they've used for all their promotion. Anyway, PI goes in the CCR record in your e-doc. You need to claim the promotion incentive claimed section on your electronic postage statement. It's really just a check mark, but if you forget that check mark, it can be a problem. And the mail must be delivered during the campaign window. And it's worth mentioning, dates are probably the biggest danger in this whole process. For our customers, virtually every customer who has not gotten discount has been because they messed up the dates, that they put the mail in before the campaign was opened. They didn't have the timing right on dates. Dates are critical on this. That's part of the reason a lot of people like to use us, because we can help them keep their dates straight. But it is very important that your dates be correct. Again, the mail piece sample, you don't actually have to submit it, but you do need to keep a copy yourself, and you need to let the Postal Service know where that sample or who has that sample and how to reach them. Some quick general advice before we let Karen get into some of the details here. Again, although you're kind of running out of time, we always like to say don't wait until the promotion period to start using informed delivery. You are safer generally creating campaigns through the portal. There are other ways to do it, but they have a higher fail rate typically. Make sure your mail service provider is clear on the process. If you're working with a mail service provider, make sure that they know how to do this. Again, most mail service providers, these promotions have been going on for, I think, 3 or 4 years now. So they really should be familiar, but do make sure that they are. That's important that they do that, because they're responsible for actually getting it submitted. Commingled mail can qualify, but the commingler has to participate. And it's really a negotiated rate at that point between the mailer and the commingler as to how much of that they share the discount that's involved in that, because they do have some work involved in it. Again, we do always suggest using offer specific URLs. In other words, make the landing pages specific to the offer that you're trying to promote. And don't just do it for the discount. I always say this: we have found, especially now with a third of the people on your list are going to be seeing your ads, you really want to make sure you test and leverage all the benefits of informed delivery. That's why the Postal Service is giving these big discounts, because they really want people to try it. They believe, and we have often seen that response rates go up as a result of having these additional impressions. So don't just do it for the discount. Make sure you do test and see if informed, maybe you want to keep doing informed delivery afterwards. If you think you've registered for the promotion, double check too. We throw this out there because last year, I believe it was, we had some people who've registered and then it got lost with some glitches at the Postal Service. So just double check that you are registered for the promotion. And then this is just the last, I'm not going to read the whole paragraph, except the Postal Service is very firm about saying, don't try to get a discount if something wasn't approved. Don't try to get around the rules. If so, they can stop the mailer or MSP from participating in any USPS mailing promotions. You don't want that. So just be careful that you follow the rules there that are involved in this. Again, we haven't had anyone who this has happened to, but the Postal Service took it seriously enough that they published this last year and repeated it again this year. So that said, Karen, I'm going to turn this over to you, and let's start talking about the actual process of registering for the Informed Delivery Program.
Thank you, Dave. Yes, it's kind of a twofer. If you're a mail service provider, or whoever's inducting the mail is going to need to register for the promotion in general. And you do it pretty simply. And don't worry about taking notes. We'll make sure that you get a copy of this deck. It's pretty step by step. You log into Business Customer Gateway. That'll probably be your BSA or your BSA delegate in your organization. They'll go to the mail service section. Then they'll scroll down until they find incentive programs and click on that. They'll be taken to the next screen, which will be a listing of all of the various promotions. My screen is only showing 2024 promotions. When I log into Business Gateway, I can't promise what you're going to see. Make sure you select the 2024 Informed Delivery promotion. In previous years, I've had several years worth of promotions listed. Like I say, just double check, make sure it's 2024 informed delivery, and you're gonna begin enrollment. And, you'll start out by confirming that your, contact information and your locations are correct. And once you click the save button in the lower right-hand corner, you'll automatically progress to the payment screen, and you'll select which payment option you want. You know, in the case of SnailWorks, we've got one option. And once you've accepted that, then you'll be taken to the final screen, and you'll see that your enrollment is incomplete because you have to agree to the terms. Once you click on the I agree button, you should progress to the final screen that will confirm your enrollment. So you want to make sure you do achieve this screen, and you'll be able to see off to the left here that everything's got a completed flag by it. It really takes less than 5 minutes to enroll to participate in the promotion. But if you're a mail service provider, you're not quite done yet, because I'm going to assume you want to get your 0.5%. So the eDoc submitter will sign up for this, and the process is very similar. It's actually the same process that you went through to sign up for your seamless acceptance discount. And we will provide you with a PowerPoint that has step-by-step instructions. In this presentation, we're just showing you the summary that you'll log into the business gateway. You'll go to your manage permits. You'll select the business location, very similar to what we just did, and select which permit you want to receive your incentive in. And again, like I say, we've got a PowerPoint that I'll be sure to include the post office is prepared, that I'll send that to everybody on this call. Those are really the two registration processes. What we don't provide a slide for is enrolling with the promotions portal. If you are doing this, if you're using SnailWorks, you don't need to worry about the promotions portal. If you're doing it yourself, you need to get a login to the promotions portal and log in to upload your elements. So those are really the enrollment details.
Okay, that's very good. Thank you, Karen. And yeah, just a few thoughts for mail service providers about informed delivery. This is a nice revenue opportunity because, you know, informed delivery is it does take some effort. It should be a service that you can sell. Then there is a liability. Be very careful with this. That's one of the things we have learned the hard way in the past few years, is that again, from a mail service provider's perspective, you're expected to get the discount for your customers and do it correctly. So if there's an error on your part, you know, then there can be a liability, whether it's legal or not. You know, whether it's for customer relations, then your customer may look for you to sort of reimburse them for the discount they didn't get, which can be significant. So just be careful with that. Again, dates are the dangerous thing there. Making sure when you change IMBs or things like that, or redo jobs, there's danger there. Be careful. That's a lot of the reasons people use an outside service like SnailWorks to create these things for them. So that said, let me give a few resources, and then we'll be happy to take questions if there are any. Some resources: Postal Pro. Again, it's if you're not on Postal Pro, you need to be. That's really the Postal Service's primary site for getting information. That's where you can learn things. Our website is great. It's not just because to track mail. We also, if you go to our resources tab, there's lots of white papers. You can probably see the same presentation from last year, and it's a lot. But there's lots of webinars, white papers, tutorials on how to do things. So it's a very good resource. You know, beyond just coming to get mail tracking from us. Promotion guide, we'll send you one that gives you the details officially from the Postal Service. All the things, all the blanks we left, you should be able to fill in with that. Registration instructions, what we were going through, we'll send that to you as well. And, of course, you can always reach us at customerservice@snailworks.com. talk to your project manager, talk to your salesperson, or if necessary, talk to Karen or I. Here's our contact information. And that said, Karen, do we have any questions?
We do have a couple, Dave. The first question, I think you've covered, but doesn't hurt to hit again. They're asking if the rules have changed regarding who has to enroll.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Have the rules changed to that who has to enroll in the promotion?
I don't believe so. I think it's the same as it was last year. That has not, very little has changed from last year. That one I know has not changed.
This is a good question. Someone's asking if their creative is set, will they not know if they're approved until a week before submitting the mail?
Oh, no, they'll know pretty much, depending on how long the Postal Service takes it, in a few hours or at worst a few days. So you may know weeks ahead of the mailing if you get it approved. They won't wait on the approval until the week before. They don't hold that back.
It's good to note that once you have that approval, you can use it for as many mailings that qualify. Quite often we're seeing that people are using the same elements for multiple mailings, and they get it approved one time.
Yeah, if you're using the same, and the three elements again are the representative image, the ride-along ad, and the URL. If those stay the same, then you can use it for more than one mailing. That artwork at that point has been approved. Now, if you change any of those elements, then you'll need a separate approval, including the URL.
Oh, this is a good question. We've got a participant asking that if they registered as the eDoc submitter credit last year, do they need to re-register again this year?
Yeah, that was the 2023 promotion. That's so last year. Yeah, you do have to register again this year. Everything last year is gone.
And I've got somebody asking about where to go to submit their creatives for approval. Anyone who has questions about that really ought to reach out to me offline. It's a little bit involved, but you do it from the business customer gateway, and I can help you find that if you have questions. And I can see the participant asking, and I'll definitely reach out to them later. But
yeah, so I guess it is the postal promotions portal, right? But it's
right.
within.
Yeah, and you do have to register and get approved to participate. But you do that, I'm 99% certain, from the business gateway. That's back when I was approved. That's when I did it. But I'm glad to help people out with that if they have questions. Again, if you're using a third party to manage your campaigns, you don't need to do that. Our clients who we're doing that for, they never go to the approval gateway or to the promotions gateway. Just checking to see it looks like. Someone's asking, is there a certain percentage of informed delivery subscribers required in a mailing to receive the discount?
No, I mean, you're always going to have some anyway, but no, if you find some freaky list that doesn't have any informed delivery subscribers in it, you'd still get the discount. But I don't think you'll find that list. But no, there's no minimum.
Got somebody asking about B2B mailings that have predominantly residential addresses, particularly if they're targeting small businesses. Can they use pre-campaign reports from the post office to determine if the list is largely eligible for the promo?
I don't think so. That's a tricky one. But if it's really small businesses, people working out of their kitchen where you're mailing to individuals at their houses, I guess you could do that and add if their business name is there. But that'd be difficult. But I don't think the post office will give you any guidance on what's eligible and what isn't. I'm not quite sure how they would do that.
Yeah, usually I suggest that you look at the nature of the mailing. If they see, this is special gizmo for small business owners, you're going to have a hard time getting that approved. I've never done that where I've done a pre-promotion, count to demonstrate that the list is predominantly residential addresses. You could try it.
Yeah, but I think you're right. The intent of the campaign has a lot to do with it too. So if you're selling copiers or something to businesses, no matter how small they're, it's probably not going to be eligible.
Right, right. Take one. Dave, you have covered all of the questions that were asked. Do you have, give people just another minute or so, any parting words for people before we sign off?
Just to say, that this is, it can get complicated. There's parts of it are easy, but there are complicated elements to it. Obviously, we'd love it if you use SnowWorks to prepare, but prepare your campaigns. But even if you don't, we help a lot of people. We give them guidance and help steer them through these things. Sometimes it's tough to do in a presentation, some of the more detailed stuff that like Karen was mentioning, finding certain portals and things, but we're happy to help people do that if you need some help with that.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to thank all of our participants for attending, and thank you, Dave, for such an informative presentation. I hope everybody has an enjoyable rest of the week and a profitable promotion period.
Thanks, everybody.